This is what we're planning on making today, something that looks a little like this. So the first thing we need to do before we come into Photoshop is bring our videos into Premiere. So here I have the recording that I made last week, as well as the recording I just made of myself mugging to the camera. We're going to scroll through our recording from last week and try and find a section that would look good as a background layer. I quite like the way these stars are flying off Grimmsnarl here, so let's find one that looks, there. That explosion looks fantastic and will draw the eye quite nicely to our thumbnail. So we go ahead and hit this button to export the frame, and we're going to just save this to the desktop for the time being. Now with our face cam footage, the first thing I always do is go up into the effects tab, type in color, and apply Lumetri color. Now this isn't going to be a color grading tutorial, but all I'm really doing is adding a little bit more contrast, a little bit more saturation into this footage so that it stands out more once it's brought into the thumbnail. I'll also up the exposure a bit because this does look a little bit dark. Once I'm happy with how it's looking, I'll go ahead and once again export the frame. Now in Photoshop, we'll start a new file, once again 1920 by 1080 pixels. First thing I'll do is unlock the background layer, then press Ctrl T to give me the free transform tools. If I hold Shift when dragging it from the side, I can change its size without keeping it to scale. And we're just going to drag this across until it covers about 1/3 of our canvas. After that, we're going to go ahead and grab the elliptical marquee tool. Then we're going to click and drag so we can see a curve covering top to bottom of that section we've just filled in. And we hit delete, and we can see we cut a nice curve into that white section. Now to make it not white, we're going to double click the layer to bring up the blending options, and we're going to once again go to gradient, change our color to the orange and white that we had for our background, and change it to angle to fit it in the bottom corner. I find this just ties together the background from the playthrough and the thumbnails, so everything seems cohesive. With that done, we can start bringing in some assets. One of the main assets I like to use is the legendary from the game we're playing. These are, by design, recognizable to people. So when you're thinking of thumbnails, you need to remember that they're going to be very, very small for most people when they see them. So the easiest way to let people know what kind of game you're playing, for me, is to show the legendary. We'll also bring in the Pokemon Sword logo, but this time it's not as a PNG, so I'm going to show you how we manage that. What we'll do is we'll grab the Magic Wand tool and select the white area. Now this should select all area that are white, but as you can see it's cutting into the white around the word sword, and we don't want that. So if we come up here to tolerance, we can put that down to 1 and then re-click, and there you go. Now it's only selecting the outside white sections. If we hit delete, it's going to tell us that we can't do that because it's not a smart object. So all we have to do is right click on the layer and select rasterize layer. Now we can hit delete and we have the sword logo without any white background, which we can just resize and put where we like it. Next, I'm going to use the text tool, just add in a little bit of wordage, and this is just going to say playthrough. This is usually where I'd put Nuzlocke or challenge, that kind of thing. But for this, we're just going to use the word playthrough. I'm also using a font style made to look like the Pokemon Sword logo, a link for which you'll find in the description. Once I'm happy with the size and placement, I can go ahead and change up the colors, once again using a gradient overlay, this time using the angle to try and make it look as similar to that sword logo as possible by having the two tones in a cut-off pattern. Now as always, all that's left is to make these sections stand out. So on our little border section, we're going to add an outer glow, and I'm going to make it orange. The reason I do this is just to make it stand out from the background image we're going to add in later. Then on each of our different layers in this section, we're going to go ahead and add a stroke, just a thin white stroke, just to make them stand out from that background. Now the great thing about doing this little side section is that this can remain the same on every single one of your thumbnails throughout your series. Just gives a little bit of cohesiveness between your episodes. Also means that all you have to change between episodes are the next 3 assets we're going to add in. So first we're going to bring in that background layer. As you can see, it's captured the whole screen, so we're just going to Ctrl T to resize this. So we can resize it and move it about until we get it just where we want it. Don't forget to bring it all the way down so it's the bottom layer. Once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and bring in my mugshot. Now we're going to use the Magic Wand tool to get rid of the green in the background. As you can see, because we lowered the tolerance to 1, it's not selecting the whole background. So all we need to do is mess around with the tolerance until we can see that it's selecting all of the green screen, but none of me. Once we're happy with the selection, before clicking delete, my recommendation is always to right click, select inverse, then right click again, feather by about 2 pixels, right click once more, select inverse, and then delete. This just softens up the edges where we've been cut out. If we move ourselves across, we'll notice some of the green has been left in, so we can just grab the rubber tool and erase that. Now we can once again open up the blending options for this layer, and we're going to add an outer glow and make it orange. There, that makes us stand out quite nicely. Now all that's left is add a little bit of text that says what episode we're watching. So I'm just going to duplicate the layer that says playthrough, move it, and change the words so it says #01 for number 1. change the scale slightly, and maybe change the gradient overlay to linear. Yeah. Now the beautiful thing about doing it this way is that when it comes to doing the next episode, all you have to change is the background layer and your mugshot, as well as changing 01 to 02. Super simple, really easy to keep up to date with, and I look forward to seeing what you can come up with. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, do all the YouTube things, and I shall see you on the next episode.